I remember some years ago I celebrated a Sunday Mass here with the community, but maybe you just forgot, but it doesn't matter. Although I seldom celebrate Mass here, but today, just to start, I would like to share with you some of my personal life. When I was studying at Form 2, 12 years old, I got a disease. At that time, the doctors could not find what the reason was, and they put me in the hospital, Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth Hospital. In order to have a more detailed examination, so I was hospitalized for 2 days, just 2 days. Though after more than 40 years, I remember vividly the circumstances in the ward, the groaning from near and far, and the smell of the bed sheet, and so on. In that only night I spent in the hospital, there was an old lady, probably because of her disease. She has probably suffered a lot, and at that night she jumped from the window of the hospital and killed herself. For the first time in my life, I felt lonely, away from my family, a boy. Discharged from the hospital the next day, I was so frightened and scared that for almost 1 whole month, I could not get a sound sleep. I always woke up at the middle of the night. At that time, at the same time, I was attending the catechumen class in the secondary school that I was studying. And because of that experience, I started to think much about the meaning of life, the meaning of afterlife, and also the meaning of loneliness, being alone, what it is all about. After my priesthood ordination, there was once I was invited by a community, a Catholic community. Most of the members were middle-aged couples. Because I was just ordained, so as a young priest, people always would like to invite young priests to share with them. It seems that because you are young, so something maybe new, something interesting, they would like to know. So we share a lot. I can't remember except one question. After so many years, I still remember it. They ask, "Hey, you're a young priest, so you can imagine in many years you will be alone. Sometimes, at least sometimes you will be alone. So what will you? How do you make yourself prepared for these moments of loneliness? How do you tackle? How do you overcome these moments?" At that time, thanks to God that at that very moment, an idea came to my mind, and I asked them in return. So, many of you have got married, if I'm right. Well, but sometimes you also feel lonely. It seems to me that loneliness is existential. That means as long as we are in this world, on this earth, we feel alone. Sometimes it accompanies each of us. all of us, in one way or the other, sometimes feel lonely, emptiness, void inside, meaningless. But in our belief, we know that loneliness is also, there is a positive aspect of this existential loneliness, which is longing for God, desire for God, looking for God. Because He is the only one who would satisfy us, who would fill up our void, our emptiness. And He is the one with the name Emmanuel, God with us. In our first reading this Sunday, if we are not familiar with the Old Testament, it's quite confused. What is it all about? Because just a passage out of the whole book of the prophet Isaiah. So let us understand a little bit the background. The background was that Judah, the south kingdom, was threatened by the invasion of the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrian Empire, just a few years ago, they conquered the north kingdom, Israel. So of course they would like to go further by conquering the south kingdom, Judah, in order to get to Egypt, the very south empire, another empire. Something to do with history. I hope you could still remember what you learned in your school about history, world history. So Ahaz, in the first reading we read about him. Ahaz is the king of the south kingdom, Judah. He sent an envoy to Egypt to seek for help, without relying on God. And then Prophet Isaiah was commissioned by God to confront Ahaz, the king. So you sent people to ask help from Egypt, from a human being. But why don't you come before the Lord to ask for a sign from Him? He would guarantee you. But Ahaz, what did he say? He said, I won't ask. I don't want to test the Lord. It seems that he was very polite. He was very a man of faith. But in fact, it's not. It's not. He did not rely on God. And then Prophet Isaiah told him that even if you don't ask a sign from God deliberately take the initiative to give you a sign, a young lady will bear a son. In fact, it was her wife, the wife of Isaiah. And it is a sign to giving birth to a son, new life. That means God is with us. And from this sign, we know that God does not leave the humanity alone, even when we prefer to refuse Him, to reject Him, not to rely on Him, as what Ahaz did. And then in the Gospel, again, we see the initiative of the Lord. Joseph tries to solve the problem, to solve the difficult situation by himself, alone. Probably at that time he was tired and fell asleep after thinking too much without any result. To do this or to do that. To do that, something positive, but not so good at the other side. So we also experienced some of these moments sometimes. And he dreamed he fell asleep. He dreamed. Dreaming, sleeping, I think it is also a way to get rid of thinking that we can get rid of the problems. Sometimes we do so. If there's if there's something very difficult, I don't know what to do, so I go sleep. I go sleep and thinking that, believing that after sleeping, when I wake up, things would change. Sometimes we think so. But God intervened. God enters into the dream of Joseph, telling him that, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Because the baby is to come is appointed, is sent by God with the name Emmanuel, God with us. I noticed that there are 3 points or 3 aspects that we could deduce from the statement, God with us. First, God with us is a gift. It's a gift. Like the gift of Christmas. A sheer grace, not from what we do, but from what God does. Not depend on us, but depends on God's determination. Just as what we see in the case of the birth of Jesus. What we need to do is to accept, to acknowledge, and to treasure. We are Christians. We have been baptized. But do we enjoy or do we respect our own status of being God's sons and daughters from the depth of our heart and take it as a gift? Do we acknowledge His love by our responses in daily life? That is, by loving one another, by respecting, by accepting one another. Even when our love being misunderstood by or ignored by others, as what Jesus faced. And the second point, it is not only a gift, it is a gift of life. A gift of life. Like the newborn baby, Jesus. By accepting the Lord as God with us, our own lives revive, regain power, vigor. Life is not easy. There are challenges and difficulties, ups and downs. Many times we become exhausted, weary, worn out. And sometimes we may feel that we could no longer continue. Yes, there are maybe moments that we would like to end up the difficult life. But our God is God with us. I don't know, this morning when you entered these doors, what was in your mind, in your heart? Maybe you are thinking about your problems, your difficulties. But with this, when we are here, we open ourselves to listen to His consoling words, to receive the Holy Eucharist, to feel His presence, to feel He is with me, with us. And then when the Mass is ended, when we leave, when we go out of these doors, our lives should be revived. We should regain the power, the vigor to face the challenges, the difficulties. It's not magic. It is only because our God is God with us. God with us. It's very, very strange. When I ponder on this point, I think this is very strange. When we feel I'm alone, nobody cares me, then I feel very weak. It seems that I can do nothing. It's hopeless. But if there is someone, if there is somebody who knows me, who supports me, who understands me. Maybe he or she is far away, maybe back into our own country. It doesn't matter. I know he cares. I know she prays for me. Then I can face the difficulty. I can face the challenge. I can overcome it. And this is why our Lord is God with us. God with us. So, God with us is a gift. God with us is a gift of life. And then, God with us is also a gift of dream. A gift of dream. Christmas is a feast, a festival of dreams. A festival of dreams. But not only Joseph's dream, it's also the dream of God. Because from the very start, he would like to be with us. That is his dream. That is his dream. From the very start, from the book of the Genesis, after the fall of Adam and Eve, we know Jesus looked, God was looking everywhere for them. Where are you? Where are you? It means that God would like to be with us. It is his dream. It is his dream. But our God is not a God that just dreams, but he comes. He comes. He comes to realize his dream with our collaboration. With our collaboration. Just as what Joseph collaborated with God. And it brings us to Christmas. So Christmas is very close, it's at hand. It is a feast of gift, a feast of life, and a feast of dream. Gift, life, and dream. They all become true because our Lord has truly come. His name is Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Which is a verse from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 23. So it's 1, 2, 3. If I ask you to remember, to recite, to repeat this very short verse, I think it is not too difficult for you. What do you think? God is with us. Matthew 1, 2, 3. It's simple. It's simple as 1, 2, 3. So, your turn. God is with us. Matthew 1, 2, 3. Very good. Very good. Because you are truly the parishioners of Saint Matthew. This is from Matthew. So, bear in mind. Let us pause for a moment and to thank him because he is with us.